My article today is about updating the 911 system. It is still set up in this technological age for a landline system, and the agencies that involve 911 are receiving more and more cell phone calls, and they kind of can't still function in this old world way. It's not going to work. So I'd like to share a story with you that the article started off with. There's a woman who calls. She's frantic. She says her husband is attacking her. She's locked in a room. The 911 operator is trying to find the woman's location. She's calling from a cell phone. She looks up the address of the cell phone, and it's a suburb of Illinois. So she thinks she's got to dispatch to Illinois. She says to the woman, "Where are you?" The woman says, "I'm in South Korea." Now, this lady has to find out where in South Korea this woman is. She has no idea. Obviously, she's American. Obviously, she's in trouble. She can hear the husband screaming in the background. She doesn't know how to help her. She can't locate her. We'll talk more a little bit about that in a minute. So 911 is an old system, as I stated before, and today we're in this world where everything is technology-based. Everybody has cell phones. Everybody sends text messages, email, Facebook. A prime example of how we're not using landlines anymore is after the Japanese earthquake. Many cell phone towers were knocked down. The landlines weren't working. How were people getting in touch? How were people getting help? How were they connecting with their families? They were using Facebook. They were using Twitter. They were tweeting, "I'm trapped. I need help." So that's how people are communicating. So really, here in the States, we really need to get up to par with our system because we're living in the Stone Age, basically. So let me give you a little bit of history about 911. It started in 1968. The first test call took place, I believe, in Houston. And by about 20 years later, they had reached 50% of the United States with the ability to use 911. It was all related to landlines. They were copper wiring that connected the landlines to the station. So it was really still somewhat difficult to reach all people with the ability to use 911. And then there was an update that involved more and more people having a connection from 911 through their landline, and that really sent access across the United States. But now, again, we have cell phones. We have to rethink the plan. People are able to make calls on the run. How do you locate a person if they're running? So 911 call centers are trying to update that system. You can use cell phone towers to pinpoint a call. However, if that caller is in a heavily trafficked area where a lot of other people are on cell phones, it's harder to find them. So that may show them that they're closer to a different tower when in fact they're not because of the amount of people that are on their cell phones. Also, some call centers still don't have cell phone, what they call triangulation, which is how they find the people calling from cell phones. For example, in rural America, all the cell phone towers are set up in a row. So how do you find the closest one if they're all in a straight line? Another interesting fact that I found was 911 can use your cell phone's GPS to calculate the longitude and the latitude. However, they can't calculate altitude. So what do you do if the person in an emergency is in a high-rise building? Internet phones are another problem that they have because now more and more people are using the internet. Why? Because it's free. So it's a little bit more difficult, not that they can't locate people using internet phones, but internet phones are not required to be registered by law to show your address. So people will call 911 with their internet phone, but because they forgot to hook up their address or give the people their address, and those organizations that involve the internet phones are not required by law to ask for the addresses, you're at a loss. They don't know where you are and they can't find you. 911 is actually not a network. People think that all 911 agencies are directly linked to one another. Really, they're not. They're independently run. So if I am calling from a cell phone in Aurora, that I pay for in Aurora, but I'm in Chicago and I need help, they have to call the 911 center in Chicago to help me. And they can't just like link the call. They manually are rerouting the calls. So I'm sure that paints a pretty funny image. 911 centers, as I said, serve one area. They don't often overlap. So that can be a problem. Another scary thing to note is that 911 centers are not ready for natural and catastrophic disasters. So if a 911, yes,
They're not ready for that.
they're not ready for natural and catastrophic disasters. Catastrophic means just really awful things that could happen, for instance, a terrorist attack or a war, anything that just really, really awful could happen to the country. So, for example, if a natural disaster were to destroy a 911 center, they don't have a backup system. So what happens is, for example, say a hurricane hits, that 911 center is destroyed. All these people are calling 911. The phones just don't ring. So there's no way for anyone to communicate. Now, let's talk about this new system. In the new system they are trying to put in place, it will be in place within the next 2 to 5 years. They are already working on setting it up in some places, and in fact in some cities it is actually already running. Here are some examples of what they will be able to do with the new system. 911 centers will become a network. They will be able to communicate through the internet across the country. They will be able to read text messages. They will be able to read transmitted videos. They will be able to track threats like terrorism or national endangerment. One area where the system is already in place is Hamilton, Indiana. They can track callers all over the state, and they can connect with different dispatchers. So if there is a person in a 911 center outside of the county, they can patch through a call like that just instantly. Really saves lives, saves people's safety, and really helps out a lot. Another way that the new system will help is in the event of a pandemic. They'll be able to send that information right through. They can reach all of the centers across the country, so imagine how fast you can send an email. That's how fast they can warn everyone, stay in your house or go outside. So let's talk a little bit about how the system works. A call comes in. The dispatcher locates the person. How do they locate the person? Well, they have a computer screen which shows a map of the area, just a regular street map. Where could they possibly be? Then they're able to work down the map in layers. So if you can imagine a computer screen that works down the map in layers, now they can look at an aerial view. You can see different landmarks. You can point out, this, and this. So you're on the phone with a person, you say, can you see the Kentucky Fried Chicken? No, I can't. I can see a Subway. Okay, you're on this street at this corner. We can send somebody out to you. It really makes it easier to find people and help them. For example, under the new system, there was a babysitter who was lost. She was frantic. She had no idea where she was. She was running, so they're trying to locate where she's running with her GPS. The interesting thing is, because they have that mapped out area, they have the different names of people's houses and where they live, and they can say, are you at A. Jones's house? No. Are you at B. Smith's house? No. Are you at C. Michelson's house? Yes, this is where I am. And they actually were able to find her and go right to that house and help her. Another interesting thing about the new system, because it's all hooked up electronically, for example, in the event of a fire, what can happen is they can send those firefighters the direct layout of a house. So they know exactly how to get through the house, what stairs to take, what the basement looks like. Is it, a basement you have to enter from outside? Is it one you can enter from inside the house? So that saves time, which eventually will save lives. The system is also a big help to the deaf community, because now, within the next 5 years, they will be able to receive text messages. They have never been able to receive that before. That means that if a deaf person is in trouble on the go, or somewhere they can't get to a video phone, they're going to be able to reach them that much faster. They can also accept instant messages and emails. Another thing that will be very interesting in the future is they will be able to accept videos from cell phones. So this means if there is an accident on the freeway and there are, 15-car pileup, they can video it. The 911 operator can see exactly how many cars have been hit, and they can send out the appropriate number of ambulances. They are a little worried about overuse, because they know, okay, we're running this example in one tiny town. They're worried about possible overuse, possible flooding of the system. How can we take all of these ones? So they're working out the kinks right now. They're working on being sure that you can take in that many calls and it's not going to make the system completely fall apart. They worry about human error. For example, there was a group of 911 operators that decided to take their smoke break all at the same time. They missed 20 calls. So you have to be aware that technology is always run by a human being somewhere. So you have to have good people working together. So now I want to talk to you again about that woman in South Korea. How did this 911 operator find her? Well, she's a good 911 operator. She resorted to human strength, not technology. She told the woman to look outside. What do you see? What are you near? I'm on an army barrack. My husband is in the military. Because of that, they were able to call army barracks in South Korea, find the woman's last name, find the woman's husband, get a general over there. They called the Korean police. The woman could hear them at the other end, and the woman was saved.
Nice.